We are live back at the Asia Tech Podcast studio, and today we have Sabir back in the studio.
Hey guys,
How are
I'm
you,
back.
Sabir? Good?
Good,
All
man.
right. Back with me again, Andy, this Esports show Asia, and today we have a guest from Reddentes Sports. He is Mark Chu.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi,
Yep.
Mark. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good.
Looking for a barrage of questions coming
Oh,
from you.
yes. Oh, do expect those questions. So
Yeah.
anyway, you were telling us right before we start recording, you were previously a DJ, and you had your own show in Australia.
Yeah, I think I graduated with a diploma in mass communication.
Communications, okay.
So used to have a bit of a radio stuff in
Wow.
Indian Polytechnic called
Right.
Radio
Wow.
Heatwave. So we have our own show. But in Australia, when I did a degree in sports media, so I went in like once a week at every hour doing a sports radio show called Chew the Fat. It's an Aussie slang for
Chew the fat.
yeah.
Right.
Because my
What,
surname
what,
is
what does
Chew.
that mean? Chew the fat.
It's like more of like casual chatting. It's
Okay.
like the Aussie slang.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
just
okay.
more fun. So we did that for around 6 to 9 months.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty
okay,
cool.
So
that's
give
pretty cool.
a bit of English, a bit of Asian songs, but after that we have Asian
Ah.
sports news to share with a small Canberra community.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep,
So you've been involved quite a lot with sports-related communications and media, right?
yep.
So how did you get to choose sports in the first place?
I think it's just interest of sports from when I was young, and after I did a diploma in mass communication, I wondered what do I do, and I went to do. I like sports, and I want to be. My ambition was to be a sports journalist.
Oh, wow.
And my idol was is this guy called Alan. It's one of the big Martin Tyler. It's a big
Right.
English football commentator.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So always want to be like him, and then look for a degree in sports, and then I went to Australia to do sports media.
Wow.
I see.
Yeah, so it's more specific, and I came back to Singapore, and I realized that sports was just growing in Singapore. That was close to 15, 16 years ago. Wow. Yeah. So and then after I got involved, but not in print, not in radio, but I got involved in television.
Television.
Yes.
So yeah, that's one of the things that we're going to be talking a lot about today, especially when it's related to esports. But before that, maybe we can share how you've been spending the last few years within the space, like with sports and esports. Just get us updated on this.
Okay, I think since I mentioned that I got involved in the sports industry, so very traditional sports media. So I was in StarHub for 5 years buying sports content
Right.
for their television stations, and then after that I went to work in the government for the
Okay.
sports ministry for 2 years before joining a sports marketing agency called MP and Silver. So I
Right.
left around beginning of last year after 8 years being the head of media sales
Wow.
for the whole Asia Pacific.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
in the whole Asia Pacific.
Yep.
So how
I-
many countries have you been
I
to?
don't. I've been to as far as Mongolia.
Oh wow.
Oh.
So we do Australia. So we take care of Australia, New Zealand, all the way to Mongolia, excluding Japan and Korea.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's really interesting. And that's the traditional media side, right?
Yep. So
Do you mind telling me what do you do, like exactly? What is
yeah,
it that
so
you do?
we are like an sports marketing agency that do broadcasts. So we sell the media rights to big events like the English Premier League in Indonesia.
Okay.
We have the rights to the FA Cup in the whole Asia
okay.
Pacific.
Right.
Right.
Serie A, and we were also the partners for the Olympic Council of Asia for the last, I think, the Asian Games in
Right.
Busan. So that was 2014.
Right.
Yeah, so last year was in Jakarta.
I see.
Yeah. So very traditional space for sports.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So then let's ease into the space that we are all excited about today,
Yep.
right? That is esports.
Yep.
And one of the researchers from Newzoo, they said that the main revenue for esports come from three big things. That's sponsorships, of course,
Okay.
advertisements,
Yep.
and number three is media rights.
Right.
And this is the space that you are working in, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I want to get into this deeply, but how do we see media rights being sold in esports?
All right. I think at the same time, I think Andi and we are all. I'm still learning from the industry.
Yes.
I just joined. I got a little bit more into esports around 8 months ago.
8 months, okay.
Yeah, 8-9 months. But media rights, right? I think if you look at football, Premier League sold in, like I think in Singapore, 250 million US for 3 years.
Yeah.
Indonesia,
Yes.
100 of a million for 3 years. Esports, I think, is a very different proposition altogether. If you look at the games or the developers, they've been really going out. Most of them over the first few years was the developers wants a slightly different way.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the main source of revenue is in-game purchases.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what they do is they give it more or less for free without any much cost to promote the game.
Yeah.
So, but I think over the last couple of years, you've seen that there have been a bit of asking for proper media rights.
Mm,
But what's the right amount? We have seen
exactly.
key big numbers being pushed, but that always get the traditional media a bit scared as well. So what's the right balance? You know, they look at it. That's one form of media rights. Another one is streaming, right? A lot of players, a lot of they do streaming as well, right? A lot of the big players earn millions of dollars from streaming.
Yes.
So I would say I would technically look at two kinds of media. I think one is from the media rights, and one is from the streaming rights from players and teams.
I see.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
that's really big because you mentioned that we all know this. All the content that's related to esports is free,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? But there have been deals of exclusivity, right? For
Mhm.
example, with ESL,
Yep.
they jumped into a deal that didn't really work out too well with Facebook.
Yeah.
But now they're backtracking, right?
Yep.
So how do you view this deal that happened? Like in terms of, were they doing the right thing in the right direction? It's just about the partner that they chose.
Maybe a bit of background for people that
Yeah,
don't know what.
sure.
You go
Okay,
ahead.
so yeah, what happened was this. ESL, one of the biggest broadcasters of esports content in the world,
Mm-hmm.
they do content for things like Counter-Strike, Dota, and they have the rights to distribute that, and they chose the partner Facebook to stream their games exclusively on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yep.
The thing is, nobody was really watching on Facebook, and part of the reason was because the layout and the UI and everything was
Yeah.
just not up to standards as compared to the previous partner, which was Twitch,
Yep.
Yeah.
the obvious choice of streaming platform for
Yep.
everyone right now.
Right.
So what happened was the viewership count went down so far that I don't think people knew that ESL events were happening back then when it was
Damn.
happening.
Right.
Like it went from hundreds of thousands to a few thousands.
Holy crap.
How do you respond to that as
Yeah.
ESL, right? So yeah, back to that question. What went wrong there?
I think it's all about, I think first market entry first, right? So Twitch came in,
Yeah.
they got a
mhm.
market. So everybody who watches games or who esports, they go to Twitch. First thing they go is twitch.tv. They log
Mhm.
on, and it's always getting there.
Yes.
Other platforms is like traditional media industry as well, right? I
Mm.
think there's always a big pay TV operator who usually get a Premier League rights,
Yes.
and someone who wants to come in and say, I want to grab that market share. I'll pay an exorbitant amount of money or like a crazy amount of money to get it.
Mm.
But how in the end do we bring that group of people to transfer from
Mhm.
Twitch to there?
Yes.
How do they do it? So that's a way of also marketing and whether how popular is the game as well.
Right.
So whether is it, but ESL, we look at it very differently because they are organizers,
Mhm.
but they are not developers.
Yeah.
True.
Right. So, I look at breaking down the various difference of from developers to event organizers and then to teams. It's very, very similar to normal sports.
Mm.
Right. But if a developer who actually does it more because they're able to go into the in-game purchases,
Yep.
in-game apps and say, watch on Facebook. Well, the first port of call when those gamers come in is to go into the games.
Mm.
Right.
Right. So if my first eyeball, right? Whereas if I am example Valve or if I am Monton, the mobile games, or I'm in Garena, the first part, if I go into the in-games, I see where can I watch it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they will know where to switch.
True.
Right.
Right? But if you're ESL, you're just an event organizer.
True.
So how do you
true.
drive? Because
Yeah.
if they're doing a Dota, but I'm not into the Dota game,
Right.
I got to do extra a lot more to bring people to come
So
to that platform.
that friction is what's
Yeah.
holding back people from
That's a good point.
switching from Twitch to Facebook.
Yeah, so
And-
that's my
yeah.
thought, right? But on example, right,
Mm.
for Munton, who is doing Mobile, Legends, all of them is on Facebook. So they can
True.
promote everything all on Facebook, on their in-game app, and everybody will go
It's all
to
Right.
Facebook
interconnected.
to watch
Yeah,
it.
they make it a lot easier though, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So
yeah.
it's just about recognition, going in to see where to
Mm.
watch it.
Mm.
And one of the things I noticed of on why people don't transfer well to Facebook was there was this notion in the gaming community, especially when it comes to traditional titles like Counter-Strike, Dota, like they were used to this feature on Twitch that's really great. I love it so much. It's Twitch chat. That's a form of entertainment in itself.
Yep.
Right? Reaction to the games, on the
Yeah,
plays,
Of course.
and of course the memes. That's what
Yeah.
we're all there for, right?
Yep.
This didn't transfer well to Facebook at that time.
Yeah, and I think also Facebook is, if you look at studies, Facebook is for slightly the older generation,
Yeah.
right? I think for any social platform, I think if you ask kids or even teenagers below 25, I think the first part is still Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Right, yeah.
absolutely. I'm turning 25 this year, and I was having a conversation with my colleague about how you spend time watching Facebook videos. Like what? Like I can't remember the last time I opened Facebook. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, correct. So it's, I
Exactly.
think it's different, target audience,
Yeah.
how to go there. But you have to applaud Facebook for them to do something as well to bring, I would say the target audience down to another a younger level as well. So I think it's how each individual platforms, how are they going to introduce? They do know that this is a big market,
Yeah.
and how do they bring? Because it's all about getting to the younger generation, right? And how do they keep themselves adequate? Are they related to the industry?
Yeah,
True.
that's the
Well
thing,
said.
right? Yeah, because there were other reasons, simple as like I wasn't able to find the ESL channel when I opened
Yes.
Facebook. Like
Yeah.
those things do contribute, but I get and I really like your point about the target audience itself, because if you don't target the demographics well,
Yep.
then nobody is going to show up because you're just not in the right place.
Right. So it brings it back to the revenue, right? I think, if you want to look at revenue, but what's the best way? So
Yes.
back to traditional sports, when there's a new platform that comes up previously, put money and then you drive the traffic
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
But how do you drive the traffic? So there's ways to think of
Yeah.
how to do it.
Now, speaking about traditional, Facebook and the older generation, we didn't see that happen very well for esports. But now there's an interesting trend, especially in Indonesia, where esports games are being broadcasted on national television.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
ESPN was the first one to do it with the Overwatch.
Yeah.
League, right?
ESPN was way beyond
yeah.
every other channels, right?
Yeah.
So they did pretty good, and that's the part where I want to ask you, Mark. Why are the TV stations looking at esports now when they weren't even involved? And I would argue they weren't even aware of esports like 2 years ago. Maybe they've heard of it, but they were saying no.
Yep.
But now they're like, come, give it to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what changed between that, transition?
I think similarly, I think if you look back at free-to-air channels in Indonesia, I think our company was the first company who did the first free-to-air deal for esports.
Nice.
So I think last year, from the Mobile Legends Southeast Asia Championship, together with I think back-to-back for around a month, you have the FIFA World Cup, World Cup, and then you have the TI 8.
Wow.
So it was all shown on Kompas TV.
Kompas TV, yes, I saw that.
And then they got very good. So it was more or less like a trial.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the TV stations realized that, okay, this is somewhere all the younger generations are watching it. So how do we get involved? But it's not easy because there's a lot of hierarchy
yes.
in the traditional stations of the bosses, how to go. And I think
Yes.
we tried to talk, and I think Kompas was one of the first who's
One of the
willing
first.
to try. They did a
Wow.
test. I think FIFA was all right, but the one that got the best rating was actually Mobile Legends.
Yes.
And it was also good time belt. So it was like around late afternoon or 4 o'clock for the finals.
Right.
Although it was a Philippines versus Philippines team,
Oh,
but the rating was around 30% higher
Oh wow.
than their average show.
damn.
Yep.
Okay, so for those who don't know about TV ratings, can you explain more about 30% higher? Like, how is this significant?
It's quite significant. I think a lot of how sponsors buy into ad sports is also based on TV ratings.
Right.
So so every rating gets higher. There's more sponsorship money, advertising dollars
Damn.
coming in for the station.
Wow.
And they do realize, and then I think Kompas continued with the Mobile Legends Season 2, the finals as well.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of interest, and I think if you look at it, there's a new Piala President.
The most recent one.
The most recent is going to be shown live on
Metro TV. Yes.
So,
Bharat, maybe you can pull up that link. There's a YouTube video I sent you.
yeah.
So if you look at the screen now, you can see the actual stream of the Mobile Legends game,
Right.
which is the Presidential Cup Piala President of Indonesia. it's actually showed on Metro TV, which is one of the major news channels.
Yes.
News channels, by the way.
That's
Very
crazy.
similar.
I mean,
it's a similar
yeah.
competition to Kompas. So
And this is
Yes.
a mobile game.
And it's a
as
mobile
well.
game, right? So we're seeing it live. I
Yep.
mean, we're experiencing it firsthand that these traditional channels are getting so invested in esports.
yeah, I think it's natural because
Mm.
if you look at it, I think it's also the election year in
Ah.
Indonesia
Yeah.
as well. I think voters are 17 and above.
Okay.
For the,
Yes.
if I'm not wrong,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong,
That's correct.
Andy. So I think it just makes us well together. And I've been to the event in Indonesia. I've been to a couple of events in
Mm.
Indonesia, and if you look at it, the crowd. I was at the venue, 7,000 packed every day at JI Expo
Every
for
day?
for 2 to 3 days,
Damn.
and that's how we look at a comparison between
Mm.
if you go to normal smaller sports events,
Right.
and everyone around me is 25 and below. And then you tell yourself, okay, this is the next generation.
Right.
I was watching
Yeah.
a football game in
Mhm.
Anfield 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
and
Oh, please
the-
tell me you're not a
Anfield.
Liverpool.
and the
Please tell
one
me you're not a Liverpool supporter.
I am sorry,
Crap.
and the one next to me is like 60, 50s,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, and then you realize that we have to get in it, you know, and I think
Completely
with
different.
I think with esports being part of the SEA Games,
Right. Yes.
in
Yeah.
the later half of the year as well in Philippines.
Are you going?
I was there for the Jakarta one last year.
The Asian Games.
Asian Games.
Yes.
I was
okay.
there for 2 days,
Mhm.
so I think I was there for the AOV event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was amazing. I think the setup was really nice,
Right.
and it was good. So I'm anticipating this. And for the SEA Games this year's official medal sport,
Yeah.
I do know that the various countries all are very getting ready for their
Yes.
selection
Very
trials.
invested in it.
You know,
yeah.
and what are they planning to get the best team?
Mm.
Have they
to go
have
up.
they confirmed the games that will be
Yep.
played?
Yeah, they have. So there's a
6
total of 6 games.
Mhm.
For PC, there's StarCraft, which is the grandfather of esports.
Mhm.
Yep.
There's another PC game which is Dota,
Yep.
very popular in Philippines. For mobile, there's Mobile Legends and
AOV.
AOV,
Yep.
both MOBAs. For the console, there's NBA 2K and FIFA.
No,
No,
FIFA.
wait. I'm not sure
There's
what
one
the
more
other,
game,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
one more game. I
Okay.
Yeah.
forgot about it.
Tekken.
Oh, Tekken.
Oh,
yes.
it's Tekken.
It's
Oh,
Tekken.
nice.
Yes. Your
Nice.
first game.
Yeah, my
Sabir,
first game.
Yes.
So
Tekken.
yeah, there are
Mm.
I think 6 games for the SEA
Yes.
Games this year,
Yes.
and I think everybody is trying to I think that also sets the way
Mhm.
for a lot of various federations to be set
Yes.
up to
Yes.
be
Hmm.
officially recognized by their sports bodies. So I think it's leading to the right path.
Mm.
I think
Yeah,
and-
I felt that as well. It's definitely the right direction that we want to see esports going towards,
Mm.
and it really helps boost that interest from the governments, especially
Yep.
because now they have stake
Hmm.
in getting interested in esports because it's about national pride now. It's
It-
not just about
Just
esports
games.
games.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. True.
so it's really interesting.
But
to
I think
see.
most governments also know that they
Mm.
can't run away
Yeah.
from
Nah,
yeah,
esports.
no.
I think it's the
They're
next
starting to
the,
accept it now.
the next generation, and I
Yes.
was giving a lot of analogy to a lot of people.
Okay.
I think esports or gaming 10 years ago, like I used to play Counter-Strike as well, but it did not really take off.
Mm.
I think it was because I'm from the media industry. The media industry is a bit, I think back then was mostly still pay TV,
Right.
free to air.
Yeah.
But right now, everyone is watching digital,
Yes.
right? There's also a big disruption in the whole media space.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask, I think people like Andi and all of you, do any of you watch pay TV? Not at all.
I don't even know what
I-
PTV
yeah,
is
I, can't,
actually.
I can't remember the last time
Yes,
I
oh,
switched on the
yeah.
cable or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think times have come.
Hmm.
I think a lot of things have changed.
Mm.
So I think it's a good time for esports. I think any kid, my daughters,
Wow.
I spent like last year, we just turned on the EGG channel
EGG, yeah.
from Astro.
Yes.
So a really nice channel on from Astro, so it's on Singtel.
Yeah.
I spent half an hour talking to her, and it was like really a good family bonding time
Wow.
with her. And she was
That's really great.
yeah, and then like okay, so I think that I have to get involved.
yeah.
Wow.
And like
So
my,
that was like your realization because of that conversation you had with your daughter, or
I
was it
think
just something that's
that was I think there's a lot of small lipstick tests that
Yeah.
I really did.
Mm.
So I'm working with EGG a bit,
Yes.
helping them to distribute in Indonesia. So
Did you work with the Mata Kerbau series?
No, I
Ah,
didn't.
okay.
But when I tried to, like I said, bring those events into Kompas, we try to put a channel onto a
Right.
pay TV network. We had some cards, game cards that you can get diamonds, you know.
Yeah.
And I went to one of the pay TV networks. I said, I have 10 cards. Just shout out loud to your staff.
Right.
You know, come up to 20 minutes later to the front desk and we can give you. And within 20 minutes, there was 50 people waiting for it.
Ooh,
Damn.
damn.
And to me, is that it shows something.
It shows.
Yeah.
Yep, and I just had a chat with a couple of them who wanted, and when the CEO came out.
The
and
CEO.
and
Was he
asked me-
there for the card?
No, he asked me, so what's the commotion about?
Right, right.
Why is
right.
everybody over here? So that shows like small stuff like that, what Kompas did. So I went for the Mobile Legends Southeast Asia Cup as
Right.
well. So that really shows me that this is an industry
Yes.
to put time into it,
Yeah.
to learn more about it. Like I said, I'm still learning. And at the same time, a lot of stuff. Indonesia, I think Singapore. So I learned more about the Singapore market because that I used to do media sales in different countries. Every country is uniquely different, right? Indonesia is huge, right? I think right now Vietnam is crazy. Thailand is also very hot. But Singapore still trying to get a hang of it,
Right.
trying to see the best they
Yeah,
could. So
true.
everywhere is a little bit different, but Singapore is always a good base to start,
Right.
right? Good infrastructure, you know, good internet
Internet,
connectivity,
yes.
yeah, good people who are here, very good tech. So what's the best way to do it. I think all of us are trying to see
Yeah.
how
Right,
to go
right.
around it.
And you are a busy man, Mark. You're flying all over the world. Like in the span of a month, you're off to. You were saying you were off to Indonesia next week,
Yeah,
Macau, Hong Kong the next,
Yep.
and then Paris.
Damn.
Yeah.
What's really happening in between those travels? What?
so those are from traditional business,
Right.
I spend a lot of time doing my traditional business
Sure.
stuff. But as I get more and more involved in esports, right, I
Mm.
think I was telling my business partner, then I think I thought I was doing like 20-30% of my time onto esports.
Right.
But as we go along with the last 3 months,
3 months.
I think half of my time is on
Esports. Wow.
Wow.
So I was in UK.
Okay.
So I met with Esports Insider in UK.
Mhm.
You know, had a good chat with them, with Sam. And then after I went to see the Gfinity
Gfinity
arena,
man.
Damn.
Dude.
arena as well. It gives me to learn, to see more. And I think this industry is not keeping to yourself. It's about sharing.
Mm.
So
Yes.
we exchange
True.
a lot of ideas, how to bring traditional sports into a sports as well.
Absolutely.
So we work very closely with teams, like Team Flash. We
Yeah,
work quite,
Team
Yep.
Flash.
yeah, well, we work quite closely with Terrence. So how do we professionalize the team?
Mm.
How do we do it? And how do we work together?
Mm.
I think to grow the industry.
Yeah, that's amazing because one of the events you did with Team Flash was in Indonesia, right?
Yes.
That was back in January. But there was another link. So, talk us through what you did in this conference. Like, what was it about? I know it's about the FIFA, right? You
Yes.
were having a show match.
A show match.
Yeah.
I think there was it was a FIFA 19 show match. It was called E Plus Sports.
E Plus Sports.
Yeah. And
Okay.
interestingly, when we look at it, I think we wanted to bring traditional sports coming into esports.
Mhm.
So if you look at the picture, we managed to get at that point of time 2 top U19 footballers,
U19, right?
under 19
Yes.
footballers. If one is Aggie and one is Witan, if you see the screen, to come on to play a show match against our FIFA boys.
Mm.
Those 2 boys are very competitive, Aggie and Witan,
Definitely.
and they are very good FIFA players. If
Oh,
you-
so they're football players in real life.
real life.
And they're really good at
Wow.
FIFA as well.
Yes,
Damn.
I think if you look at
Dedication.
and they have the competitive streak in them,
Yes.
Yeah.
and they really want to win.
Yeah.
Mm.
If I've been speaking to a lot of the traditional football teams, any under U22, under 22 or 21 team, if they go for overseas training,
Right.
half of the boys bring the first thing in their bag is actually a luggage, is actually a PlayStation.
Wow.
That's not hard to believe, actually.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then the first and then they go to the hotel room and they hook it up.
Yeah.
If you know that in the World Cup last year, England had a Fortnite room
Yeah.
Yes.
itself, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
I think we bring it back to one of the Barcelona players, Zamba Dembele.
Wow.
He was late for training because he was playing games the night before. So it's real, right? I think
It's
this
real.
younger generation are
Mm.
also very involved.
Yeah.
And we did one similar showcase match against the Singapore under 23 team
Okay.
last year on I think the same weekend as the World Cup final where they play against Team Flash as well.
Right, right.
And Team Flash also had a couple of games last year during the ICC against a PSG esports team.
Wow, PSG.
And PSG also invested
A lot.
a
lot of money,
into
yeah.
esports.
They just invested in the
RRQ.
Indonesian team, RQ.
RRQ for Mobile Legends.
Yes, it's
So
amazing.
if you can see, like I think they invested in PSG LGD
Yeah,
for
Dota 2.
for Dota 2, and they came runner up.
so runner up at TI. That's
and-
like millions of dollars in your bag.
Yeah,
man.
and I think for PSG, perfect branding.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at any Dota player now, the first football club they come to their mind is PSG.
Smart.
Right. So
Amazing.
the best branding you
Smart.
can get, and you pay that sponsorship money a fraction of a football player money.
That's crazy.
And
Right.
I think that was really, really well done. So I think a lot of traditional football clubs, brands are coming to look at
Yes,
it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Like a lot of even NBA teams are coming in. The professional players from the NBA, like retired players,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Like these guys are getting into esports in one way or another.
So here's my thought, right?
Mm.
And correct me if I'm wrong or comment on it, but I'm of the opinion that there's going to be a big mass consolidation at some point
Yep.
where we don't see local or national teams anymore. It's
Mm.
more like, international big team bodies, like we're talking about NBA teams getting into the mix, football teams getting into the mix. At some point, you're just going to see like PSG having like 10 different teams of 10
Yes.
different things, right?
Yes,
That's
And
what I think
It's
is gonna
already
happen.
happening actually. Like one of the games I follow closely is Counter-Strike, and one of the teams that's at the top of the world is Faze Clan.
Yeah, Faze.
So Faze Clan, the Counter-Strike team, they have 5 players. They're all from different nationalities.
Mm.
So I think it's a good point that it's already happening,
Mm.
that we are trying to break down that barrier of culture, language, nationality. Like it doesn't even matter anymore,
Yep.
right? So people just want to play the game and win at the game. So
Yep. I think
it-
two ways to look at it. I
Mm.
think we agree on one, of course, is various nationalities.
Mm.
yes,
I think we discussed about it before we came on.
Yeah.
It's like Champions League, right? You have
Yeah.
different clubs with different,
Exactly.
different
nationalities.
nationalities. Yes,
But then there'll be another pot, which is the more the national teams.
Mhm.
But that will be possibly in the national pride.
Yeah.
And then when you go on to competition, that will give it a little bit more legitimacy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Legitimacy with all the tradition, like national and all the
Yes.
traditional audience will come in and look at it. So I
Yes.
think it has to be a balance,
Yeah.
in my
Yeah,
opinion.
definitely.
You know, like I said, what I'm wearing today when I decided to come is to wear something with a football jersey and with an
Esports jacket.
esports jacket, and I see how
Yes.
we can. It's going to be a lot of consolidation,
Yeah.
working together.
And that's a perfect representation, actually. Like
Absolutely,
with
yeah.
sports, there's a layer of esports in it, right?
Yeah.
So
So I think as the future is bright, I think there's a lot of potential.
Mm.
You know, I think if you look at the various games, like FIFA has been in, like FIFA 19. I used to play FIFA 04, 05. You know,
Wow.
Yeah, I remember 06 and 08.
correct. So
yeah, we've
you know,
come far.
but the games have come. But right now, you see the younger generation.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to some people. A lot of people have different ideas
Mm.
of how it's going to pan out. But I'm not surprised that Qatar 22,
Mm.
the official FIFA E World Cup, will be at the same place,
At the same place. Wow.
at the same time as well.
Wow.
Why not?
Yes.
So you know, it is what it is. I think the kids
Mm.
nowadays, you know, are playing games.
yes.
You know, in a way, is how do we come in? I think a lot of traditional parents still think it's not a
Mm.
good thing.
Hmm.
You know, but I tell these parents, right, the first thing that a lot of maybe Asian parents in general, right, the first thing when you finish lunch, what do you give your kids when you finish their lunch?
A textbook.
An iPhone,
Yeah.
Ah.
right? To watch Baby Shark.
Yeah.
So that's the start, right?
Baby Shark.
Yeah, that's the start, right? I think that's the first basic start.
Yeah.
And how do we grow the industry?
Hmm.
You know, rather than to run away and come in, we did a very good checks. I think there's a lot of social issues like cyber addiction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we have been to talks in schools with Team Flash. You know, when we finished the talks in the schools, you know, and it was like 90% attended, 95% that day in the school. But when we finished it, we went to the tuck shop, right, the canteen to have a bit of food. The boys were just crowding around the players and asking them, how can I be an esports player?
Mm.
So to me, is that I used to like football players, and that's
Yeah.
my and I learned from them. I idolize, I respect them,
Yeah.
and I model myself from them.
From them.
So we have to create this teams, these boys, to give a good impression, to give be a good role model for the younger generation.
Absolutely.
And that gives a good way for parents to feel that esports is it's a good form of
Yeah.
way of engaging with their kids.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
I'm a parent. I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
So but I was speaking to a couple of friends yesterday. Oh, esports is bad. They have their kids, but you have to educate, right? It's all
Yeah.
about
Absolutely.
all about education, bring the right value. So I think the teams, I think Southeast Asia is still pretty new.
Yes.
There's a few good teams around the region, but I think it's just how to add a way of professionalism in the
Absolutely.
team.
I think if you, speaking as someone who's, been in traditional sports your life, you always get, these 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds who are just thrown into the spotlight and they don't know what to do with it. And, it takes some time, it takes some guidance, some coaching, some mentoring. And that's what's happening now. Because these esports players and these streamers, they have such a massive influence in an age dominated by social media. And their reach is greater than, any traditional sports people that you can think of. I mean, you even have the sports people idolizing them now,
exactly,
right?
yes.
NFL players, NBA players idolizing the gamers.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really interesting space. So what I wanted to ask you was, given your background in traditional sports, did you ever see yourself getting into this space? I mean, whether it was like a realistic option or a passion option?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I was asked to do a bit of esports around 3 years ago by my previous company. And, I think we're looking at a bit of LOL sponsorship for Garena. And I think the team, a couple of my colleagues brought it up as a management to us, to all of us, to look at it. And to be frank, I struck it off. When I said, it's a small industry, esports was not something that,
When was this, Mark?
I would say this is around 2016.
Oh, that's pretty recent.
Yes, 16, 15. So when LOL was really strong, I think Garena was really putting a lot of emphasis. And I raised my hands. I said, no, don't bother about it. But, and maybe, like I said, the best way for a person to get really involved is to bring them for an event.
Yes.
I did not go for one, so I shrugged it off. But like I said, I went to a few events and that changed my mind. It blew my mind. So I'm wearing a Dota major jacket from KL. So I went that was done by EGG, right? And kudos, well-run event. And there's going to be another big FIFA major event in a couple of weeks' time in Singapore.
Right.
Yeah, the FUT. So,
FUT, yeah.
Yes, so there's going to be a big event coming up. So unless you go and see one, and then I think we are also planning for our company, Reddentes Sports, to do our first, hopefully just finalizing our first major event, esports event.
Awesome.
In May. But we're going to do it a little bit differently as well. We're going to put it with a bit more traditional way of running events.
Wow, okay.
Yep, with a bit of more entertainment. We noticed that a lot of esports games still run pretty late, right? They finish a bit late, and don't start on time. I was over here just now. We started at 2:32 today.
Yes.
And not 2.
Wow, nice jab, Mark.
At 2:30, because I have someone messaging me and said
I like the way he's thinking, because that's one of my main issues with esports
events.
It's
The delays.
Little too laissez-faire at the moment, you know.
But we have a proper rundown. We do a proper countdown.
Yeah.
And then we start right on time, because people are expecting to say that if you're going to start at 3 o'clock,
you start at
3 o'clock. But when I went to a few esports events, they say, internet, we can come on a little bit later. Fans will wait. But I think that's where professionalism comes. I think we said that like every live event, football, it starts at 8 p.m. sharp. At 7:55, the teams run in. Everything is followed to a T. And if you notice, any Premier League game that starts late, there's always a fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so because you follow proper broadcast timing. So if you want traditional media to come in, you need to
incorporate this guidelines,
to
right?
step up the next level. So I remembered when we were doing the first Mobile Legends live on Kompas.
Okay.
And I was really panicking, because there was a bit of a delay during the event and everything. But luckily, the games finished a bit earlier, so we managed to put it on time. But that's one I think we can all work together. We don't deny that, it's big for esports. The audience is there, but how do we come together?
Right. So I'm going to pose a tricky question to you. How do you define the timings if you don't know how long the game's going to last?
I was about to ask
that. Because you look at any other traditional sport, you know how long the overtime period would be, what the guidelines for the timing of the game is. So how do you do it for games like Dota would last like what 45 minutes
Anywhere
to 30.
from 30 to even 2 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
League
right.
30 to 45,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mobile Legends 15 to
15
20.
to
So how do
20,
you?
All right, how do we look at it? Right, I think another one good example is badminton.
Right.
So
Hmm.
Badminton,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yes.
badminton. You will know, is it a 2-setter, 3-setter? Same as tennis, right? I think if you look
Mhm.
at the Grand Slams, so you have the same rundown of the day. So you start, example, the semifinals.
Mhm.
You know your 2 semifinals at what time. So you start and you just say followed by the second semifinal.
Mm.
So but the final you'll get always a bit of either you will finish early,
Earlier.
Right.
you will not
Or-
finish later.
Yep.
You have a bit more
Mm,
time.
Okay.
So how do you feel your time in between if it finishes earlier?
Right.
Right, you have to think of ways to engage the audience,
Right.
ways of thinking
Right.
of how to do it. NBA, right? You know, you won't know whether how many free throws are there, how late do you finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
So whether it's an overrun, is it OT? But then how the TV channels actually plan
Fill that.
fill that
gaps,
program.
yeah, yeah.
So if you finish early, your host should be ready and not, oh, what am I going to do?
Right.
Mm.
So you should already have backup plans, scenario plans of if you finish half an hour earlier, what we're going to do. It's
Mhm.
not, by the way, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
By
Right.
the way, I'm doing that. But you already have all the various scenarios that if you finish 15 minutes early, this is the throwaways we're going to do. If you finish half an hour early, we're going to have a performance coming up.
Mm.
So all these are planned. All these are not by the way.
Right.
Gotcha.
What
Yeah.
about if it's a late game?
Which so late,
So we were talking about games that finish early, right? So we have to fill gaps in between.
yeah.
But how about when the games end really late?
Yeah. So example we say it's like semi-finals and finals. So
Right.
semi-finals 1 and 2 will start on their own, is back to back.
Right.
But we always put a final that we know that it will not finish as late. I
I
think Dota is a bit
see.
hard because Dota
Yeah, it's
is
a bit
very long.
harder. Yeah.
But if you look at mobile games, it's slightly easier. 20,
Yes.
25,
Gotcha.
30
you
minutes.
can't go past 30 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
So you plan if it's a BO3, so I plan it's a 1.5 hour
One
game.
hour,
Yeah.
You know, but then if you finish half an hour, what do you do within
Yep.
earlier?
I
So
see.
it's all about planning.
I see. So
Can you open my eyes? Because I know for League, it's structured such that no two teams will ever play at the same time.
right.
Like it's always one team, then the next team, then the next team. You understand what I'm trying to say
For
here?
leagues or
you
for-
mean
for
in
League of
in a
Legends.
tournament?
No, during the regular season.
Right.
Like it'll be
Right.
like 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid. Then it's Echo Fox versus Cloud9. It won't be
Right.
like 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid and Echo Fox versus
Ah,
Cloud9.
okay. Yeah. Maybe
Would
you can
that
shine a
resolve
light on
some
this.
issues there or no?
No, so what you do is then you have 2 streams, right? Like badminton.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Badminton, you have 2 courts, 3
Yes.
courts, 4
Yeah.
courts. No matter what, especially in the earlier rounds, it could be maybe it could be. I think esports is a bit different. It's a group phase.
Mm.
There's
Mm.
always a double elimination.
Yep.
But nothing. But it's just how the best way to look around it.
Mm.
Just turn on 2 streams, right? So in badminton, you have like if there's only due to cost, maybe you only have 1 court
Mm.
going live, and then you choose the best games to go on that court.
Yep.
But if you want to have more simultaneous streams, like FIFA, even the game is being played, there's 10 games at the same time.
Right. Right.
Whether do you have one for one just call it TV court or 2 TV courts.
right.
So you just have to plan and see what's
I
the
see.
Right,
budget
right.
you have.
Can
and
you
how to
do
it.
that with TV, traditional television?
So like right now, what you
Mm.
do is then you have to open another channel.
Right.
So it means
Yeah.
instead of one channel. So that's where you look at, Kompas was or even traditional free to air. It's only one station.
Yes.
Right,
So
right.
usually they'll pick just one court,
Just one court. I
the
see.
best court.
Right.
But if you go into pay TV, then you have
Then you have
2.
those different
Yeah,
channels like
yeah.
ESPN.
Yes.
There's a few channels
Yeah.
between.
Then if you have digital can have
Then you
multiple
can just do
streams.
whatever you want.
Then any of their fans can go to different cliques.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
which of
depending
their
on
teams.
what team they support,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's the way we do it.
Yeah.
So this does not happen in LoL.
No, in LoL, it's the day starts, so it's
Right.
2 days, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
The day starts at like midday. You have the first 2 teams play, then the next 2 teams, then the next 2 teams, then the
Right.
next.
And then you
Right.
finish really late.
Yeah, you finish really late.
So what
I
do you do?
see.
Start earlier then.
Yeah,
right?
but
you start there.
The thing is, I can't think of any, but I don't watch enough of the Korean and Chinese streams.
Right.
I can't think of any one where there are like 2 or 3 games at the same time. You know,
Right.
like how in the Premier League or in the NBA you would have 2 or 3
Yeah.
games same
Right,
time.
I see.
I think
I can't think of
I
any.
think games to games are different also.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
so-
True.
So it really depends on
Yeah,
games.
Even with when you compare LoL to Dota, people say it's very similar, but it's really different how they run it as well, right? Even when you say LoL is a bit of a shorter game, it makes sense to do it one stream, one by one.
because
Right?
you can afford.
But
to.
with Dota, you can run into 2 hours, so that's why we have 2 streams at the same time happening, right?
Right.
So, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So
That's great.
I would say I
Yeah.
take it as different sports. I
Yes.
always classify all the games, right?
Right.
Something like to a little bit to aquatics in like water polo, synchronized swimming, diving, but all these are owned by
all different
developers.
Yes.
Then it's their World Federation, but it's different because a lot of the developers do it.
Yeah. Now, talking about federation, right? We are getting to a point where I think we need governance in esports.
Yep.
So what's your take on governance? How do we even begin to talk about this, or even start a federation for esports?
No, I think it's an interesting discussion.
Yes.
I think the official esports federation is set up in Singapore.
Yep.
Right. The president has been nominated, so we've been engaging them over the past 2 weeks,
right?
Because they're getting ready for competitions for SEA Games.
Yes.
And then I think a lot of it's also a chicken and egg. Whether should we park a lot of discussion? Esports, is it sports, right? And whether should we park under the sports federation or sports ministry, or is it a youth ministry? Because it's really a youth. So it's always a debate.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I think with official sports recognition coming up, I think last year IOC also did a bit of discussion on esports as well.
Yeah.
In Lausanne. So I think there's going to be a bit more, ideas like forming of all these federations coming up. But I think they are more for performances. So I think is to look at it. So they will really care for the players, the athletes when they go for major events.
Right.
So like your SEA Games, your official big tournaments, or even like your Olympics, right? So if you look at major sports, they have like 2-3 big events every year. Or Olympics is every year, every 4 years.
Every 4 years, yeah.
Winter Olympics is every 4 years. But then but they really take care of more of the players.
Yes.
But then there'll be always another federation like SCOGA in Singapore. So, but SCOGA is doing a good job for the academy, doing coaching courses, but how do you work together? I think, and I see there's a lot of synergy within both parties, and I'm happy to see that for Singapore. But Indonesia, Malaysia, I think everybody is trying to get a hang of it and what's the best way. But is there really a designated way?
Right.
Everybody is still trying to
Yeah, I guess we still have to wait and see for this, especially here in Southeast Asia. But I think we're going in the right direction, especially with SEA Games and everything. Yep. One thing, though, in the world stage, there was a thing that's happening in the past few weeks in Counter-Strike. So now what's happening is the Intel Extreme Masters in Katowice, Poland. And this is considered one of the biggest majors in Counter-Strike. And I think, I'm not too sure about this, after this major, they're going to have a player break for about 2 months where they can choose not to compete in games. And so the majors were supposed to work around that player break. But suddenly, StarLadder, one of the majors in Counter-Strike as well, they announced a major right after that break. And players have been complaining, like, left and right? So the problem there, I see, is the business driver of things. Like, these majors, these organizers, they don't put too much mind into the player break or whatever. So do you think this is going to be a problem moving forward, especially when we talk about governance, right?
I think similar to sports, very, very, very similar to sports. Like I think if you look at tennis players, they play throughout the whole year. 4 Grand Slams, they finish it in a year in October, November, but then they have a lot of, I think they finish up with the ATP tour at the end of the year. Okay. They limitedly only have a 1 month break. Yeah. And then they start again. And the players are complaining not enough rest. Right. Similar to football, right? You play the whole season, you finish in May. If you have a World Cup year, you go to June, July, and in theory you only have 2 weeks break. And then you come back and play again. How do you define burnout, injuries, and stuff like that? So that's where FIFA is looking at a calendar. Okay. Everyone is looking at the calendar. Because that's where you have an official world body. Yeah. Like I think cricket also they play throughout the year, and they didn't have much of a break for cricket. Yeah, from T20s, IPL, but everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon to make money. Yeah. But similar to esports, right? Everybody's, I'm going to come in, I want to do an event. But there's no world body to run. Yeah, right? Exactly. True. So, but in the end, there's also the developer, right? They want the game to develop. Yes. So they say, I'll give you the sanctioning to do it and stuff. So, but when is enough? So I think there's a lot of community engagement with all the players to see what's the best way. And it's all about, learnings. And there's no right solution, I would say. But but the players don't take part, right? True. But in the end, I don't see much of like a regulation like world ranking points, so like Dota does, right? But some other games don't.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe CS is not really.
It's not really that. Yeah.
So every player to make maximum revenue, they'll go for every event
Yeah.
because to them it's making a living.
Yes.
Yeah. So but there's no regulation. The games are not regulating it. Dota is still fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some games are more matured. Some games are not.
Yeah.
So it really, really depends.
It's really funny to see though, because Dota and Counter-Strike, they're owned by the same company.
Yeah.
Rough. But
Yeah.
they run it so differently that in one thing it's so established and it's so good and the prize money is like crazy, astronomical. But the other side is complaining about this when they are run by the same company. So
I think they have a lot of them different product teams at the point of time, so
Yes.
different people managing
different
and,
titles.
different
yes.
KPIs as well. So it really, really depends.
Right.
And also team event is where you really need 5 people to play.
Yeah.
Individual event is a bit more. So it really depends on the various
Right,
sports,
right.
various games.
Yes. So do you think these players have the right to complain about it, or do they just have to suck up to it?
No, I think they have. I think every player always have a right. Every athlete always have a right, right? I think even for professional sports body, there's always an athletes commission
Yeah.
to look at the welfare of the players. But that's where, even in SNOC, there's always an athletes commission. Even in Badminton World Federation, there's always an athletes commission. So they'll get to listen the feedback of the players
Right.
and to give back and to say what is done, what needs to be improved. That's the same, but esports doesn't have a federation.
Yeah, and the games are owned by companies,
Yep.
driven by profit. So it's
Right.
really a different ball game
Different
altogether,
ballgame.
right?
So, but like I said, in the end, these players are the
Mm.
stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do they want to do it?
Yeah.
It's really but being responsible.
Yeah.
Right? You only have also esports career is pretty short. Right? I may be wrong. Please correct me.
No, it's
when
generally
3 to
right.
4 years. So
Right.
every of them want to make the maximum revenue.
Yes.
After that 4 years, a lot of them goes into coaching.
Yeah.
A lot of them goes into streaming. So we have talked the whole ecosystem. I was in Taiwan talking to a few people. So one of the biggest esports champions 6 years ago, 7 years ago, what are they now? He's actually a delivery driver.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, but so
Damn.
after the euphoria of being a winner, it's the same as sport. Like you spend all your money.
Yeah.
Like what football was 20 years ago,
Yeah.
right? You get drunk
Exactly.
and stuff.
Yes.
But they don't see a future. But right now, over the last 5 years, a lot of sports goes into people like being a pundit.
Yep.
They may come onto a
On
show
shows,
to do
yes.
something. They may become a coach. They may become a other back behind the scenes, a director of football. So we need to create an ecosystem for players who finished and to come back to the industry to contribute. They may win their money and
Yeah.
everything, but they're the best people who been there, done that, to come back to the contribute. But we have to keep engaging them and to grow the whole ecosystem.
Right.
So that was
Absolutely.
the plan that that was the long-term vision that I see esports needs to do.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And it would be heartening to see if these players who have done their time come back. We still recognize their face.
Yeah.
We still know what they're capable of, and
Right.
there's more that they can do for the
Right.
scene.
I think you say like Michael Jordan is the
Yeah.
owner of Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
exactly.
Magic Johnson is the GM of
Yes.
Lakers.
Yes.
So they have a lot of ways to give back.
Yes.
A lot of they are players. Players are different from me. I'm not a player. I don't play, but
Right.
we've been there, done that. They
Yeah.
know how a players feel,
Yes.
how to engage. But
Yes.
esports it's only a couple of years old.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go, and just don't want to see players get burnt out.
Yep.
Players just leave the industry. We have seen people come and go very fast because the money is not there after a
Yeah.
while. So I think that's a whole ecosystem that all of us have to see how to come in.
Yes.
Sponsors are looking at it.
Right.
We've been doing quite a few. The more we explain to the sponsors how they to look at it, they understand.
Right.
And the last 6 months, I think there's so much more sponsorship revenue
Oh yes.
being poured in.
Yeah.
But the key thing is to keep them in it and not for them to feel that they have wasted their money.
Yes.
Some of them came, they feel that they didn't get the ROI, they left.
Mm.
So, but we really have to see how to keep them.
Can we convince them? Like when they talk about ROI, is there can we fulfill those ROIs?
I think it depends. I think sponsorship is always the toughest money to get.
Yeah.
But once you get it, you have to know what's the client's mindset, how to do it, how they want their ROI, and it's a lot about relationship.
Yeah.
To keep the relationship, to really go with them, and a lot of this brands are still very traditional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, like sports, a lot of the people at the federations are so traditional.
Yes.
So how to convince them? It's not about just giving them the stats of,
Yeah.
number of people watching, but
They
to
need context.
Yeah.
to build relationship, have dinner, drinks, catch up with them, see what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's sponsorship.
Yeah.
Let's try and talk about this. Talking about retiring players. Most pro players who have done their competitive scene, they transition into streaming. And streaming is one of the things that's really happening right now. And I think it's one of the things that can be monetized
It
in
is.
esports, right? So what is your take on streaming, like, individual players, individuals streaming on their own without having anything to do with traditional media or companies?
No, I think it's a good legitimate way of revenue. And my kids watches YouTube and they watches people how to make slime. Right? The first thing that you
Slime.
slime, right? The kids is how do you do slime,
my
right?
God.
But that's also an instructional video,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And also similar to players going to do streaming, right? They look at and these kids, like I said, they are role models. These players, legends,
Yes.
are all role models. So how do you? They are there. They have a very good level of respect that people sees them. So from there, they get a crowd. Like last time, maybe if I have a one-on-one session with Marco van Basten, who's my favorite player, I will look at him. But we don't have the means and ways back then of the internet
Yes.
to do it, But now they have the way of engagement is getting closer, getting closer to your idol.
Yes.
How do you do it?
Yes.
So why not? Most of the younger generation, like I noticed that a lot of them have different ways. Like if you look at when they have lunches, a lot of us maybe will say we go out for lunch. But what they do is they take away, bring it back, and they're on their screen
Do
in
it
front,
while watching their
people,
favorite heroes.
heroes watching it. So, but that's a lifestyle, right? That's a lifestyle change. If you talk to any Food Panda, Deliveroo, Grab Food, I'm always curious that why the business is so good. I have a big hawker center opposite my flat,
Right.
and it's one of the best. But I still see Deliveroo, Food
Yeah.
Panda, and come. So I asked them, so who are your people buying it? The kids. Yeah, right.
All right.
The way they just like to go on, order their food,
Yep.
but they don't. They just want to leave the house. And most parents have this fear, right? I've been talking to a few parents, even in Indonesia, Singapore.
Right.
Indonesia parents are telling me, even Singapore, I want my kids to get out. I don't want the kids to stay at home anymore. Like those were the days when I was young. My parents, you better come home
in.
by midnight.
Come back in before
no
6.
no clubbing, no. But now, get out.
Get out.
Yeah, because they're just in the room in the dark,
Yeah.
and you don't know who they are talking at times, right? So,
True.
I have someone who's talking to me in Indonesia. I said, Mark, can you do some coaching clinics for kids? So, but the coaching clinics have to be done in a proper room setup. And I want my kid to get out to meet people who like esports, who want to play the game, but to learn together. Yeah, I'm willing to put money to do it because they want the kids to learn the proper way.
Yeah.
Right.
Rather than talking to people you do not know who they are and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And talking about influence by streamers, you mentioned this, Sabir. They have this control of influence, right? And my theory is that streaming can be used as a tool for education. And that's one of the ways I think we can convince parents, especially traditional parents,
Correct.
to see the other side of esports, where we can talk to them and tell them that this is why esports is happening. And it's not all bad for your kids. But of course, there are bad sides
Of
to
course.
it, like
Yeah.
what you mentioned, and some other addiction problems, and some other problems that exists. But I can still see the potential of streaming becoming an educational
To
platform.
me, it's, rather run away from it. I think just to teach the right values to come in, to tell them the best way of engaging the kids, right? I think Skoga did a very good job. I think they've done a lot of courses, and they did a recent Mobile Legends
Right.
a course.
Yeah, the course. Yes.
course with Aeon, and I think it was full house,
Yes.
right? And players came there, and I saw photos. All the kids were there, and if you get the right role model to teach the kids,
Right.
this is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You can do online teaching. That's where I say players are key, right? I think we look at Team Flash. I think we will look at going out to speak to players, going to schools, giving the right guidance, and to teach. To the best way to do it. There are many good kids who play esports. You know, and there's the right role models to bring out, but people always look at the bad side of stuff. So we just have to bring them out a little bit more, you know, and to give them the publicity. If you look at a lot of esports events, it's always very digital marketed. But most traditional people do not know about it.
Yes.
Yes, but it's a big event, right? PvP, Hyperplay last year, brilliant events. You know, but how do we engage more of the real public to bring them to come and see the events? So it's just constant engaging, constant education. And I've seen a lot of things have improved over the last 3-6 months. So let's continue to push through.
Sure.
And just in terms of awareness, I think it's come so far.
Yeah.
Like my dad watched Mobile Legends on Kompas TV.
Really?
Yeah, and he was talking to me, hey, this is the game you play, right?
Wow.
But there was one problem where the other day when Metro TV was broadcasting Mobile Legends, my mom told me, your dad is watching, but he fell asleep because he couldn't understand all the terms that's used. Like, imagine, you know, a 60-year-old listening to these guys talking about savage, maniac. Like,
a lot has been slain. A lot has been slain. But education, right? I think. I think. But like I didn't play Mobile Legends. I stepped out of the esports. I was not involved. The last 8 months coming in hand. You know, over the weekends, and when MPL was going on, last year, season 2, my wife was telling me at 6:30 on a Saturday evening, Mark, you're not watching a Premier League game. You're watching a Mobile Legends tournament now. What's happening? But it's a sport because I want to see how the players play.
Exactly.
How the way they strategize.
Absolutely.
How the way they really get engaged. And it's sports, right? It's way of watching. So
well, it's an argument we can't really win with those people who are not going to be convinced otherwise, right? But it's okay. We don't want
educate.
to
Let's continue. Like,
exactly.
You just have to try to guide them, talk to them, and
totally.
Yeah. So I've been going around the industry explaining a little bit. Some say yes, they want to know more. Some totally shut away from it. But it's a fact that it's a mainstream. To me, it's really more mainstream as it is.
That was amazing, Mark. Thank you so much again for coming. And
thanks for having me.
No, thank you.
No, thank you, please. So the insights you've shared have been really great. So just to wrap things up, I want to ask this question. So we've been talking about the positives of esports, right? What are the things that you think are negative that's happening in esports, or things that we have to watch out for, that we need to be careful moving forward?
Being involved the last few months, I think it's a pretty toxic industry. Right, I think toxic is the word. I think a lot of the people think a lot that it's only themselves. You know, I've seen a lot of players, especially teams, jumping from contract to contract. Right, but maybe it's also because due to the professionalism of the team is not at a good level as well. But I think it's also both ways to look at it. I think it's all about toxic environment. You know, the players can just cancel contracts or what they do, they go online. They put something on Instagram,
on Twitter.
On Instagram, they just shout out loud. They think that they have the right way of doing it. This is their own right. You see the IG stories, they are smoking their way away in a way. But that creates the negativity in a lot of the public. Right? I think be a good role model, guys. I think if you want to be accepted, be a good role model. I think, like I was telling a lot of people, we can't stop them from smoking. It's bad, I know, but don't do it in public. Don't put it. Don't show
put
it.
it on.
Yes, on your social platforms. But because you want to grow, so. And don't badmouth, don't foul mouth people. Yes, you have your own right, I understand. But, just do it, solve it amicably, and let's push it along. Like there's a few cases of the past couple of years, we shall not say them, but I think with a bit more engagement, communication and maturity, I think that can be easily solved. And I think, but it's a society issue as well, right? I think the kids...
Definitely a society.
Definitely,
definitely.
No,
I have people talking to the kids. I was talking to some people, some of my cousins, right? They said that, I've gotten a part-time job. After graduation, they're only paying me $1,500 a month. Right?
For part-time, that's pretty good.
Like there's a contract. But some of them say, but if I stay at home, I get paid $700. And my mom gave me $800 a month. So why do I work?
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but it's like a society thing, right? So I think it's about engagement, learning and everything. So it's not say like I will solve it overnight.
Sure, of course. There's no such thing.
Yeah, like I said, esports, right? You look at the Vietnamese players, the Indonesian players, they are more hungry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because
Definitely.
to them, 500, 700 US is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah, but for Singaporeans, 700 may not even be enough for a day to day because expensive, right?
Yeah.
High cost of living. So
Yes.
everywhere is different.
Yes.
Yeah, every market is uniquely different. But
Toxicity, that really hits home.
Keyword.
I was like playing some.
I felt it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was playing Mobile Legends games. The first few seconds, they were flaming me already.
Yeah.
Like, why,
And
dude? Why?
I hate to turn on the volume.
No.
It'll keep going on.
Definitely no. Definitely no. I mute everyone
Yeah.
every time.
Okay,
All right.
I'll get your nick later, Andy.
Yes, we have to play together. And
and be good on me, okay? Be good on me.
definitely. Come on,
Yeah.
I'll coach you.
Okay, cool.
All right. So thank you so much, Mark. It's been really a pleasure.
Yeah.
For
Thank
you.
you.
The insights you shared were great. I hope to see you again on the show sometime. So you'll come back.
Yeah,
pretty
be
sure.
back. Bring a bit more people
Yes.
in as well.
Yes, definitely. So, all right, before we end the stream, I just want to do a few shout outs to our patrons.
Yep.
So, we just started our Patreon page, and you listening to this show and thinking, oh, I want to listen to more of this and, bringing more people like Mark over, then you can head over to our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Esports Asia. And you can support us in any way you can, engage with us, and share it to others. And for now, we just want to give a shout out to a few of our patrons. The first one we have is Jared Chan. He is a really great friend of mine. He was an ex-teammate from Counter-Strike, and he's been pledging monthly for now. So thank you, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
I have also a few friends, Nicholas William, Bianca, Brian Adam, and of course...
Brian Adams.
No. Well...
It's a good
Yes.
Damn.
And of course, the owner of Asia Tech Podcast, Graham Brown. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Your support means everything. You are the reason why this is possible. And moving forward, we hope to see more people like you to join us in this
We
journey.
should bring Brian Adams on the show. So before we let you go,
Yes.
we have a little tradition.
Yep.
We ask the guest at the end of the show who you would like us to bring on next, and you can be as wild
crazy as you want.
with your suggestion.
Good question, actually. This has never come in mind. Yep. I don't know. I would say you'll get a bit more traditional people to come in. I
Right.
think I think you have been having a lot of esports people, digital space people. I think why don't you bring a bit more of the traditional people to come in? I think let them know more about you guys.
Sure.
Let the esports industry know more about them.
Yeah.
Even people like Sports Singapore CEO
Okay.
Lim Teck Yin. Let
Yeah,
feel
That's
of
awesome.
them.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
We'd love to see how the conversation goes because
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll be learning off of each
We are
other.
learning. Yep.
And that would be a great move
definitely.
together for the show, for the industry.
Yeah, bring more traditional people. Let them
Yes.
see the good job that you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very
Engaging. And like I said, until they see it themselves, they will
Yes.
believe in it.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Mark. That was a
Cheers.
great recommendation. We'll do that someday.
Yep. I'll pass his contact to you.
Yes. Oh!
Even better.
Even
We'll give
better.
you Brian Adams.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sabir. You're back.
Cheers.
Welcome back.
to be
Glad to
back.
have you again. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
We just can't wait for you to do what you do best with the tournaments coming up with
Yep.
Reddentes, and of course, looking forward to seeing you sometime soon, maybe back in Indonesia. But with that, we'll just end this episode right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, and of course, support us all the time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
Peace.
Cheers.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.